Hey everybody, Rob Swift coming at you today from New England. I am super excited to be visiting Lauren Bateman. Many of you might have already seen her in the internet universe. She's a fantastic guitar instructor, great content for beginners and intermediates alike. Lauren, maybe you can just say hi to everybody on my channel and kind of introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me, Rob. We're going to be going over a great song today, Knockin' on Heaven's Door. My specialty is kind of the acoustic guitar strumming, so I'm going to be doing that in this lesson, and Rob's going to be teaching you about playing some lead lines over this fantastic song.
Right, I'm going to be breaking down the mindset of a soloist, how to come up with some lines, and I'm going to show you some of my go-to licks and how they work. Let's get started with a demonstration. Okay, so let's jump into this demonstration. Lauren's going to break down the rhythm part, what she's strumming for me, and then from there, we'll demonstrate, and I'll break down all these licks for you. So maybe you can show everybody your strumming technique and maybe some of your tips as well for just kind of jamming with another musician.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm going to show you a basic framework. That's what I do for all of my students. I'm say, yeah, I'm going to give you a general framework because my students are always like, what's the strumming pattern? So I'll give you something simple that you can start with, but I'm also going to show you how you can kind of develop off of that as well. So we're just going to be using 3 chords. We're using a G chord, an A minor chord, and a D chord, all right? And the chord progression is it's 2 beats on G, 2 beats on D, and then 4 beats on A minor. So a very simple strumming pattern for those of you who are absolute beginners is just doing a down, down, up, which is 1, 2, and 3, 4 and. So it would be down, down, up on G, down, down, up on D, and down, down, up on A minor. In time, that would sound like this. It would be 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and try it on your own now. Ready? One more time. So it's a very basic pattern that you can use just to get through the song if you're more in the beginner stage. I like to add a little 16th note, so there'll be an extra little strum in there. I think it works really great for ballad songs. You know, slow songs like this, you really don't want to throw too much strumming in there because you can really overpower the song. And a real important tip to keep in mind is stay relaxed. Try not to like grip the crap out of your pick or you're going to hit the strings and it's going to sound really, really harsh. So try to stay relaxed as best as possible. The other strumming pattern I usually teach students is 1, 2, and a 3, 4, and a. It's one extra strum, but it does help the song come alive a little bit more. All right, so if I take that from the top, it's going to sound like this. 1, 2, ready, and. One, 2, and a 3, 4, and a 1, 2, and a 3, 4, and a down. So you can see it's just one extra strum, but it really, really adds a lot. Now, where I might get a little fancy is on that A minor chord, because we're on it for a full measure. And I always tell students, you know, with strumming, you know, your strumming hand is kind of the timekeeper. And if you've noticed, if you go back and you can rewind the video, you'll notice my strumming hand never stops. And when you're strumming, you essentially can strum whatever you want as long as you're in time. All right. So sometimes on the A minor chord, I'm just going to improvise here a little bit. I might go a little bit freeform with it, but watch my strumming hand. It's just not going to stop, and I'm just going to pick and choose when I strum the string. So yeah. I mean, I'm just kind of staying in time with the music because that's the most important part, especially when you're playing with someone else. That timing has to be solid. So if you just keep your hand moving and you just sit on that A minor, you know, there's a lot of power in silence on the guitar. And I think when people start with guitar, they want to strum so much. But there's a lot of power in not strumming too. So just play around with that and see where you can insert some strumming, but also where you can insert some silence into that A minor chord as well to just get a bit more dynamics and feel to the song. So Rob's got a really great lesson on putting some lead over this so you guys get the rhythm. I'm going to hop it over to Rob, who's going to break everything down for you.
Yeah. So that's the basic framework of the progression, that G to a D major to an A minor. And I love how she's talking about using space, especially when you're jamming with a lead player. A lot of times you're taking a back seat and you just want to kind of complement what they're doing and hold down the kind of the environment in which the player is jamming. The other thing that I like is the idea of that 16th note. All of those 16th notes are optional. So you have tons of room to throw in embellishments, especially if you're going to maybe detect that there's going to be a little bit of space in the lead player's phrasing. The only thing that you didn't mention is that there's a C major that you can throw in optionally. Yeah, you'll hear in a lot of different versions. So you can play G major, D major, A minor. Every now and then you can do a split measure between the A minor and a C. But the way I've constructed this demonstration is that we're going to throw in the C major chord just at the end of the solo to kind of signal to the listener that we're jumping back into a verse section, for example. Okay, so with those concepts in mind, let's do a quick demonstration. I'll play some licks and then I'll break them all down for you one by one. Okay, let's get started breaking down those lines. If you listen to that demonstration, I started off playing some partials representing the chords in the progression, which is G to a D major and A minor. This is something I always do whenever I'm writing a guitar solo. It just helps me to visualize the fretboard. So I can play. Just like that. I had a partial of the G major chord played as a bar shape. That's going to be frets 4, 3, 3. I can find the same chord here in the 7th fret position played as a D shape. That's G major as well. Frets 7, 8, 7. All right, then we're going to go to the chord D major. Just play a little partial of the A position chord. All right, 7th fret position, D, G, and B. Then another position of D major. This is a great exercise. Now I'm on frets 11, 10, 10. So far you have G major, G major, D major, D major. All right, now some shapes for A minor. Very, very good for visualization. We had A minor right here, 5th fret position. Then we can play it as a D minor shape. And then we can play it as a piece of the A minor bar chord. Frets 14, 13, 12. Put all that together and we have our foundational elements right there. 1 and 2 and D, D, A minor, A minor, A minor. All right, that's gonna get us into the first line of our solo, which looks and sounds like this. It's a little bit country, but it's also very much in the style of David Gilmour. Wish you were here. Particularly that little phrase right there. So let's get started with that. So sliding up to fret 4 of the G string, then finding 3 on the B. All right, that screams G major. Then we're gonna play. Going around this little triangular shape, we're playing 5, 4, 3. Next, we're gonna slide down and do a pull off on the 2nd fret of the G string. All right, then we're gonna hold down the A notes just as, big surprise, the A minor chord comes in. So that's gonna be very resolute. That's kind of like a call. Now we need a response. All right, so I slid up again. 3rd fret B, then we're gonna slide again and do this country thing. So 4 down the 2, then the pull off, then D string 2-0, and the open G string. That's the first line of music that you got to get down. Let's give it a shot. Ready? Let that ring and... All right, now the next line of phrases we're going to play. All right, we need to break that up into some parts. So, part number 1. Okay, so now I'm grabbing 4th fret of the G string and 3rd fret high E string. All right, that harmony is over the G major chord, and of course, it's part of the chord. All right, so play that. Then, I can slide from 4 up to 7 and 7 of the G and high E. All right, and then slide down chromatically as I find myself right on the 5th fret position, responding to the chord A minor. So these notes are inside the chord. We're always chasing down the harmonies inside these chords, so that way our licks are tailor-fitted to each chord change. All right, so far we have pick it apart, hybrid picking. All right, now let's cook. The A minor chord is there. We're going to play. So I'm picturing that A minor chord played as a D minor shape, and I'm going to kind of sweep through, playing 9, 10, 8, 12. That's quick, but it's something that you can get just by dropping the pick and finishing with an upshirt. Then I'm going to descend down. 12, 10, and 8 are our frets on both the high E and B strings, and then a nice little resolution there at the end. So part number 2. All right, now going into the next line of music, we're going to play. Okay, so that first lick, I'm on frets 10 and 12 of the B string, sliding up in, high E string 10, back to the B, and then a hammer up on the high E string 12th fret, and then letting the 10th fret ring with some vibrato. All right, that's gonna sound great over top of that G major chord. All right, and now I'm going to find some double stops, 10 and 12 of the B and high E string. All right, just as the A minor chord comes in, and once again, responding to the A minor shape played in its D position. All right, so far? That's gonna sound great with some tremolo right there. I like space in my phrases. I don't want to overwhelm the listener, so I'm gonna let that ring before playing. A very pretty little phrase here, picturing the A minor, played in its 5th fret position, sliding in. 5th fret high E, add the 7th fret high E string, then a very simple melody. If it's helpful to you, you might want to picture the minor scale over A minor. So, you should be able to get that one just by ear. A little repetition always sounds good in a solo, so we're gonna add in that lick that we played before, but just change up the ending. All right, before playing our final line of music, which is gonna look and sound like this. "15, 14, 12, 10. All right, here, Lauren threw in a C major chord for me. So I'm gonna arpeggiate that shape, but I'm gonna make it a C major 7. Check it out. I call this my staircase position. Anytime you have a major chord, rooted off of the low E string, as we so commonly do, you can picture this little staircase position over top of it and arpeggiate it to create some jazzy lines. It's so beautiful, and it's such a very versatile tool in your soloing toolkit. All right, so here's the C major chord, overlapping major scale. The major 7 note is where this kind of phrase starts from. Then we're going down the arpeggio. All right, now I'm on the 7th fret of the D string. And then I'll find myself the G note. Very resolute, resobbing to G major. Okay, so that last little phrase. And you put the whole solo together, it should sound like this. The response. Arpeggio. Walk up. Harmonies. Melodic. Repeat that lick. And then climb. All right, everybody, thanks so much for joining us today for this lead guitar breakdown and also some rhythm for Knocking on Heaven's Door. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. And Lauren, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. And I want to encourage you all to check out her channel, link down in the description.